The Festival of Britain was a national exhibition held throughout the United Kingdom in the summer of 1951. It was organised by the government to give the British a feeling of recovery in the aftermath of war and to promote the British contribution to science, technology, industrial design, architecture and the arts. The festival centrepiece was in London on the south bank of the Thames. There were events in Poplar, Battersea, South Kensington and Glasgow. Festival celebrations took place in Cardiff, Stratford-upon-Avon, Bath, Perth, Bournemouth, York, Aldborough, Inverness, Cheltenham, Oxford, Norwich, Canterbury and elsewhere, and there were touring exhibitions by land and sea. The festival became associated with the post-war Labour government of Clement Attlee, and the South Bank exhibition site was rapidly demolished by the incoming Conservative government of Sir Winston Churchill. Conception and organisation. The first idea for an exhibition in 1951 came from the Royal Society of Arts in 1943, which considered that an international exhibition should be held to commemorate the centenary of the 1851 Great Exhibition. In 1945, the government appointed a committee under Lord Ramsden to consider how exhibitions and fairs could promote exports. When the committee reported a year later, it was decided not to continue with the idea of an international exhibition because of its cost at a time when reconstruction was a high priority. The government decided instead to hold a series of displays about the arts, architecture, science, technology and industrial design, under the title Festival of Britain 1951. At the time, shortly after the end of World War II, much of London was still in ruins and redevelopment was badly needed. The festival was an attempt to give Britons a feeling of recovery and progress and to promote better quality design in the rebuilding of British towns and cities. The Festival of Britain described itself as one united act of national reassessment, and one corporate reaffirmation of faith in the nation's future. Gerald Barry, the festival director, described it as a tonic to the nation. A festival council to advise the government was set up under General Lord Ismay. Responsibility for organisation devolved upon the Lord President of the Council, Herbert Morrison, the deputy leader of the Labour Party, who appointed a Great Exhibition Centenary Committee consisting of civil servants, who were to define the framework of the festival and to liaise between government departments in the festival organisation. In March 1948, a festival headquarters was set up, which was to be the nucleus of the Festival of Britain office, a government department with its own budget. Festival projects in Northern Ireland were undertaken by the Government of Northern Ireland. Associated with the Festival of Britain office were the Arts Council of Great Britain, the Council of Industrial Design, the British Film Institute and the National Book League. In addition, a Council for Architecture and a Council for Science and Technology were specially created to advise the festival organisation, and a Committee of Christian Churches was set up to advise on religion. Government grants were made to the Arts Council, the Council of Industrial Design, the British Film Institute and the National Museum of Wales for work undertaken as part of the festival. The arts were displayed in a series of country-wide musical and dramatic performances. Achievements in architecture were presented in a new neighbourhood, the Lansbury Estate, planned, built and occupied in the Poplar district of London. The festival centrepiece was the South Bank exhibition in the Waterloo area of London, which demonstrated the contribution made by British advances in science, technology and industrial design, displayed in the practical and applied form, against a background representing the living, working world of the day. There were other displays elsewhere, each intended to be complete in itself, yet each part of the one single conceptual reception. Festival pleasure gardens were set up in Battersea, about 3 miles upriver from the South Bank. Heavy engineering was the subject of an exhibition of industrial power in Glasgow. Certain aspects of science, which did not fall within the terms of reference of the South Bank exhibition, were displayed in South Kensington. Linen technology and science in agriculture were exhibited in Farm and Factory in Belfast. A smaller exhibition of the South Bank story was put on in the festival ship Campania, which toured the coast of Britain throughout the summer of 1951, and on land there was a travelling exhibition of industrial design. The University of Brighton Design Archives have digitised many of the Design Council's files relating to the planning of the festival. Principal events: England Exhibitions, South Bank, London. Signs, South Kensington. Architecture, Poplar. Books, South Kensington. 1851 Centenary Exhibition, South Kensington. Festival of British Films, London. Festival Pleasure Gardens, Battersea Park, London. London Season of the Arts Festivals. Wales Pageant of Wales, Sophia Gardens, Cardiff St Fagans Folk Festival, Cardiff Welsh Hillside Farm Scheme, Delhendra Arts Festivals. Scotland Exhibitions Industrial Power, Glasgow. Contemporary Books, Glasgow. Living Traditions, Scottish Architecture and Crafts, Edinburgh. 18th Century Books, Edinburgh. Arts Festivals, Gathering of the Clans, Edinburgh, Northern Ireland. Ulster Farm and Factory, Belfast Arts Festival. Travelling Exhibitions, Festival Ship Campania, England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. Southampton, Dundee, Newcastle, Hull, Plymouth Campania at Plymouth Docks, Bristol, Cardiff, Belfast, Birkenhead, Glasgow. Land Travelling Exhibition, England, Manchester, Leeds, Birmingham, Nottingham. The South Bank Exhibition. Construction of the South Bank site opened up a new public space, including a riverside walkway, where previously there had been warehouses and working-class housing. The layout of the South Bank site was intended to showcase the principles of urban design that would feature in the post-war rebuilding of London, and the creation of the new towns. These included multiple levels of buildings, elevated walkways and avoidance of a street grid. Most of the South Bank buildings were international modernist in style, little seen in Britain before the war. The architecture and display of the South Bank exhibition were planned by the Festival Office's Exhibition Presentation Panel, whose members were Gerald Barry, Director General, Chairman; Cecil Cook, Director, Exhibitions, Deputy Chairman; Misha Black; G.A. Campbell, Director, Finances and Establishments; Hugh Casson, Director, Architecture; Ian Cox, Director, Science and Technology; A.D. Hippersley Cox, Council of Industrial Design; James Gardner; James Holland; M. Hartland Thomas, Council of Industrial Design; Ralph Tubbs; Peter Kneebone, Secretary. The theme of the exhibition was devised by Ian Cox. The exhibition comprised the upstream circuit, the land, the Dome of Discovery, the downstream circuit, the people, and other displays. Upstream circuit, the land. Architect, Misha Black. Theme, Ian Cox. Display design, James Holland. The exhibits comprised the land of Britain, the natural scene, the country, minerals of the island, power and production. Architects, George Grenfell Baines and H. J. Reifenberg. Theme convener, C. J. Whitcomb. Display design, Warnett Kennedy and Associates. Sea and Ships, Transport. The Dome of Discovery. Architect, Ralph Tubbs. Theme, Ian Cox. Display Design Research Unit. The exhibits comprised the land, the earth, polar, sea, sky, outer space, The living world, the physical world, downstream circuit, the people, architect, Hugh Casson, theme, M. Hartland Thomas, display design, James Gardner. The exhibits comprised the people of Britain, the lion and the unicorn, homes and gardens, the new schools, health, sport, seaside. Other downstream displays, television, telecinema, architect, Wells Coates. Program and presentation, J.D. Ralph and R.J. Spottiswoode. The 1851 Centenary Pavilion, Shot Tower. Design review. Other features of the South Bank exhibition: the Skylon, an unusual cigar-shaped aluminium-clad steel tower supported by cables. The Skylon was the vertical feature that was an abiding symbol of the Festival of Britain. The base was nearly 15 meters from the ground, with the top nearly 90 meters high. The frame was clad in aluminium louvers lit from within at night. It was designed by Hidalgo Moya, Philip Powell and Felix Samueli, and fabricated by Painter Brothers of Hereford, England, between Westminster Bridge and Hungerford Bridge. It had a steel lattice work frame, pointed at both ends and supported on cables slung between three steel beams. The partially constructed Skylon was rigged vertically, then grew taller in situ. The architect's design was made possible by the engineer Felix Samueli, who, at the time, was a lecturer at the Architectural Association School of Architecture in Bedford Square, Bloomsbury. The Skylon was scrapped in 1952 on the orders of Winston Churchill, who saw it as symbol of the preceding Labour government. It was demolished and sold for scrap after being toppled into the Thames. Royal Festival Hall, designed by Leslie Martin, Peter Morrow and Robert Matthew from the LCC's Architects Department, and built by Holland, Hannon and Amp Cubits for London County Council. The foundation stone was laid by Clement Attlee, then Prime Minister, in 1949 on the site of the former Lion Brewery, built in 1837. Martin was 39 when he was appointed to lead the design team in late 1948. He designed the structure as an egg in a box, a term he used to describe the separation of the curved auditorium space from the surrounding building and the noise and vibration of the adjacent railway viaduct. Sir Thomas Beecham used similar imagery, calling the building a giant chicken coop. The building was officially opened on 3 May 1951. The original plan was that Arturo Toscanini would conduct the opening concerts, but he was unwell, and the inaugural concerts were conducted by Sir Malcolm Sargent and Sir Adrian Boult. In April 1988 it was designated a Grade I listed building, the first post-war building to become so protected. Minor features: the Festival Administration Building, by Maxwell Fry, Jane Drew and Edward Mills. Festival Pleasure Gardens. The Festival Pleasure Gardens were created as the lighter side of the Festival of Britain. They were put up in Battersea Park, a few miles from the South Bank exhibition. They included an amusement park which would eventually outlast all the other entertainments and later become Battersea Fun Fair, only closing in the mid-1970s. A miniature railway designed by Roland Emmett which ran for 500 yards along the south of the gardens, with a station near the southeast entrance and another with snack bar at the western end of the line. A West End restaurant with a terrace overlooking the river and facing Cheney Walk. Foaming fountains is a wine garden surrounded by miniature pavilions. A wet weather pavilion with a stage facing two ways so that performances could be done in the open air, with murals by the film set designer Ferdinand Bethlen. An amphitheater seating 1,250 people, featuring the music hall star Lupino Lane and his company on its opening, and later used as a circus. Most of the buildings and pavilions on the site were designed by John Piper. There was also a Guinness Festival clock. The pleasure gardens received as many visitors as the South Bank Festival. They were managed by a specially formed private company financed by loans from the Festival Office and the London County Council. As they failed to cover the costs, it was decided to keep them open after the rest of the festival closed. Aspects of the festival. Architecture. The festival architects tried to show by the design and layout of the South Bank Festival what could be achieved by applying modern town planning ideas. The festival style, combining modernism with whimsy and Englishness, influenced architecture, interior design, product design and typography in the 1950s. William Fever describes the festival style as braced legs, indoor plants, lily-of-the-valley sprays of light bulbs, aluminium lattices, Costeswell-type walling with picture windows, flying staircases, blonde wood, the thorn, the spike, the molecule. The influence of the festival style was felt in the new towns, coffee bars and office blocks of the 50s. Harlow New Town and the rebuilding of Coventry city centre are said to show the influence of the festival style in the light structures, picturesque layout and incorporation of works of art. And Coventry Cathedral, designed by Basil Spence, one of the festival architects, was dubbed the Festival of Britain at Prayer. There was an exhibition about building research, town planning and architecture, the Live Architecture exhibit of buildings, open spaces and streets in the Lansbury estate. Poplar pubs. Misha Black, one of the festival architects, said that the festival created a wide audience for architectural modernism, but that it was common currency among professional architects that the design of the festival was not innovative. The design writer Rainer Banham has questioned the originality and the Englishness of the festival style and indeed the extent of its influence. Young architects in 1951 are said to have despised the Festival of Britain for its architecture. It was equated with the contemporary style, and an editorial on New Brutalism in architectural design in 1955 carried the epigraph, "When I hear the word contemporary, I reach for my revolver." Single quote. Design. The South Bank exhibition included a design review that presented an illustrated record of contemporary achievement in British industry, showing the high standard of design and craftsmanship that has been reached in a wide range of British products. The exhibits were based on the stock list of the Council of Industrial Design, chosen for appearance, finished workmanship, technical efficiency, fitness for purpose and economy of production. The festival was an influential advocate of the concept of good design, a rational approach to product design in accordance with the principles of the modern movement. Its advocacy had grown partly out of the standards of utility furniture created during the war and partly out of the Coids Britain Can Make It exhibition of 1946. The Coids stock list was retained and inherited by its successor. The Design Council, Design, Science and Industry came together in the Festival Pattern Group, which commissioned textiles, wallpaper, domestic objects and festival exhibits based on X-ray crystallography. The idea of using the molecular patterns revealed in X-ray crystallography in surface patterns was first suggested by Dr. Helen McGaw, a leading Cambridge University crystallographer, after hearing a presentation by Dorothy Hodgkin to the Society of Industrial Artists. Mark Hartland Thomas, Chief Industrial Officer of the COID, took up the idea and formed the Festival Pattern Group. Hartland Thomas was a member of the Festival of Britain presentation panel and was coordinating the COID stock list. He secured the Regatta Restaurant, one of the temporary restaurants on the South Bank. for an experiment in pattern design with crystal structure furnishings as the theme of the De Acute COR. Designs were based on the crystal structure of hemoglobin, insulin, wearite, china clay, mica and other molecules. The work of the festival pattern group fitted in well with displays in the Dome of Discovery about the structure of matter. Lettering and type design featured prominently in the graphic style of the festival and was overseen by a typography panel including the lettering historian Nicolette Gray. A typeface for the festival titling was specially commissioned and designed by Philip Boydell. It was based on condensed sans serif capitals and had a three-dimensional form, making it suitable for use in exhibition display typography. It has been said to bear a vague resemblance to bunting. The lettering on the Royal Festival Hall and the temporary festival building on the South Bank was a bold, sloping slab serif letter form, determined by Gray and her colleagues, including Charles Hasler and Gordon Cullen, illustrated in Gray's lettering on buildings. It has been described as a turn to a jauntier and more decorative visual language that was part of a wider move towards the appreciation of vernacular arts and the peculiarities of English culture. The lettering in the Lion and Unicorn Pavilion was designed by John Brinkley. The graphic designer for the festival was Abram Games, who created its emblem, the festival star. The arts. The South Bank exhibition showed the work of contemporary artists such as William Scott, including murals by Victor Passmore, John Tunnard, Felix Topolsky and John Piper, and sculptures by Barbara Hepworth, Henry Moore, Lynn Chadwick, Jacob Epstein and Reg Butler. Arts festivals were held throughout the summer as part of the Festival of Britain. Aberdeen Festival, the 30th of July, the 13th of August. Aldborough Festival of Music and the Arts, 8 to 17 June. Bath Assembly, the 20th of May, the 2nd of June. Belfast Festival of the Arts, the 7th of May, the 30th of June. Bournemouth and Wessex Festival, 13 to 17 June. Brighton Regency Festival, the 16th of July, the 25th of August. Cambridge Festival, the 30th of July, the 18th of August. Canterbury Festival, the 18th of July, the 10th of August. Cheltenham Festival of British Contemporary Music, the 18th of July, the 10th of August. Dumfries Festival of the Arts, 24 to 30 June. Inverness 1951 Highland Festival, 17 to 30 June. Liverpool Festival, the 22nd of July, the 12th of August. Llangollen International Eisteddfod, 3 to 8 July. Llans 6 to 11 August. Norwich Festival, 18 to 30 June. Oxford Festival, 2 to 16 July. Perth Arts Festival, the 27th of May, the 16th of June. Stratford-upon-Avon, April to October. St David's Festival, 10 to 13 July. Swansea Festival of Music, 16 to 29 September. Worcester, 2 to 7 September. York Festival. The London Season of the Arts comprised exhibitions specially arranged for the Festival of Britain. They included an exhibition of 60 large paintings commissioned for the Festival of Britain, Suffolk Galleries, organised by the Arts Council, prize awarded to William Gere. Exhibitions of the works of Hogarth and Henry Moore, Tate Gallery. Open-air international exhibition of sculpture, Battersea Park. Modern British painting, New Burlington Gallery. An exhibition of exhibitions, Royal Society of the Arts. 2 exhibitions at the Whitechapel Art Gallery, Black Eyes and Lemonade, and East End 1851. Barbara Jones and Tom Ingram organised Black Eyes and Lemonade, an exhibition of British popular and traditional art, in association with the Society for Education in Art and the Arts Council. In the same year she surveyed the popular arts in her influential book, The Unsophisticated Arts, which included taxidermy, fairgrounds, canal boats, seaside, riverside, tattooing, the decoration of food, waxworks, toys, rustic work, shops, festivals and funerals. She said of the popular arts, some of it is made for themselves by people without professional training in the arts or in the appreciation of them, and some of it has been made for those people by professionals who work to the taste. The festival was the occasion of the first performance of steel pan music in Britain by the Trinidad All-Steel Percussion Orchestra. The British Film Institute was asked by Herbert Morrison in 1948 to consider the contribution that film could make to the festival. It set up a panel including Michael Balcon, Anthony Askworth, John Grierson, Harry Watt and Arthur Elston, which became a committee of sponsorship and distribution. Over a dozen sponsored documentary films were made for the festival, including Air Parade, sponsored by the Shell Film Unit, Family Portrait, made by Humphrey Jennings, David, made by Wide Pictures and the Welsh Committee, Water of Time, made by International Realist Films and sponsored by the Port of London Authority, Forward a Century, sponsored by the Petroleum Films Bureau. Several feature films were planned, but only one was completed in time: The Magic Box, a biographical film about cinema pioneer William Freesia Green, made by Festival Film Productions. There was a purpose-built film theatre on the South Bank, the Telecinema, designed by Wells Coates, which showed documentary and experimental film exploiting stereophony and stereoscopy and the new invention of television. It was one of the most popular attractions of the festival, with 458,693 visitors. When the festival ended, the Telecinema was handed over to the BFI for use as a members-only repertory cinema club. Reopening in 1952 as the National Film Theatre, film was integral to the South Bank exhibition, used to explain manufacturing, science and technology. The Dome of Discovery, the exhibition of science in South Kensington and the Travelling Festival exhibition made extensive use of educational and explanatory film. Film festivals, including those at Edinburgh Film Festival, Bath and Glasgow, participated in the Festival of Britain, and local authorities put on film festivals, helped by a BFI pamphlet, How to Put on a Film Show. Commercial cinema chains and independent cinemas also joined in the Gourmand and Odeon chains programming seasons of British films. And finally, if the festival visitor had not tired of the medium, they could purchase colour 16mm film of Britain's historic buildings and pageantry and film strips of the Festival of Britain and London as souvenirs. One of the British Broadcasting Corporation's contributions to the festival was a television musical called The Golden Year, broadcast on the 23rd of June and the 2nd of July. Science. A new wing was built for the Science Museum to hold the exhibition of science. The first part of the exhibition showed the physical and chemical nature of matter and the behavior of elements and molecules. The second part, the structure of living things, dealt with plants and animals. The third part, Stop Press, showed some of the latest topics of research in science and their emergence from the ideas illustrated in the earlier sections of the exhibition. They included the penetrating rays which reach us from outer space, what goes on in space and in the stars, and a range of subjects from the electronic brain to the processes and structures on which life is based. Other festival events. There were hundreds of events associated with the festival, some of which were the selection of Trowell, a Nottinghamshire village in the middle of England, as the festival village, the redesign of Parliament Square by George Grey Wornham in preparation for the Festival of Britain year, commemorative postage stamps and many souvenirs, official and unofficial, a commemorative crown coin. The crown coin featured on its reverse the St. George and the Dragon design by Benedetto Pastrucci, best known for its place on British sovereign coins. The certificate states, the first English silver crown piece was minted in 1551. 400 years later, on the occasion of the Festival of Britain, the Royal Mint has issued a crown piece, bearing on its edge the Latin inscription MDCCCLICIVRUM Industria Florit CIVITASMCMLI 1851. By the industry of its people the state flourishes. 1951. The first performance of Robert McClelland's play Mary Stuart at the Glasgow Citizens Theatre, an exhibition about Sherlock Holmes. Attendance figures. There were over 10 million paid admissions to the 6 main exhibitions over a period of 5 months. The most popular event was the South Bank exhibition with almost 8.5 million visitors, over half of them from outside London. The Festival Pleasure Gardens had over 8 million visitors, 3/4 of them from London. The Festival Ship Campania, which docked in 10 cities, was visited by almost 900,000 people. The Travelling Land exhibition, which went to 4 English cities, attracted under 500,000.